It is time to expand minds through movies, TV, sports, and flicks. It is time to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. It is time for the Captain Talks Flicks.
The Captain Talk Flicks.
Welcome to the Captain Talks Flicks podcast. I'm your host, the Captain Cortez, aka Mr. Love, and this is where we talk flicks. I welcome the podcast where me, the Captain, talks about movies, TV, sports, flicks, anything you can see on the two-board screen. I like to get out here and give my unique perspective, because after 47 years of being on planet Earth, I have developed a unique perspective about these movies, TV, sports, and flicks, and I let you guys hear about it. Because just maybe you care. And according to the stats, it looks like you do care. I want to give a big shout out to Howell, Michigan. Got some plays over in Howell this past week. Gracias, gratitude, Toraba. Howell, Michigan. I've been to your city a bunch of times because I know you guys got that Tanger outlet out there. So I go out there, buy some shoes, some clothes at all those outlet mall stores and get stuff for real cheap. So I've been there so many times, I can't even count how many times I've been out that way. Been out there hanging out, buying clothes, eating some food, whatever. Very cool place. So yeah, appreciate you listening. Gracias, gratitude. And just FYI, back in the day I went to school to be a radio teacher, but never got a job. I think I never got a job because I just didn't have enough knowledge. If I would have had just a little bit more knowledge, then maybe that would enable me to become a radio DJ. But I didn't, and that allowed me to become the greatest podcast in the Matrix. Something to debate, might be true, might not be true, but I said it on the internet, so it's gotta be true, right? Because everything on the internet is facts, not facts, true, false, propaganda, fake news, the Matrix, rings, chains, earrings, fancy shoes. I don't know. I didn't make the internet. Ask the people that made the internet. So when you're lying, just beware, just watch out. Anyways, I could ramble you all day, but it won't. Let's get right to the podcast. But first, a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like hip-hop? Do you like rap? Well, if you want to hear some hip-hop and rap like you've never heard before in your life, you should hear the new track by SonZu Cosmic called My Feed is the World. It is SonZu Cosmic rapping in his crazy rapping style, cosmic raps as you like to call them, over crazy beats. I guarantee you when you hear SonZu Cosmic, My Feed is the World song, you have never heard anything like this in your life. So if you want to hear something brand new that you never heard, I will put the link below to SonZu Cosmic, My Feed is the World. Check it out now. Let's get on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back again. It's a wonderful day. It's a little cool, a little chilly, but sunny out. I went outside, I mowed the lawn. Now I smell like leaves. I do, I smell like leaves. I'm doing this podcast smelling like leaves. Like straight up, I can smell the leaves. This is not a complaint, it's just an observation. Leaves smell good to me. I like to smell leaves. Some people don't. So I'm here doing podcasts in my athletic shorts. Got a shirt on, got some rings on, and smell like leaves. About to put some Mexican rice in the slow cooker. Yeah, life is beautiful. It's like I always say all the time, it's just the simple things. Simple things like making rice in the slow cooker. Simple things like mowing the lawn. As you get older, you just find the simple things more exciting than they used to be. Maybe you're younger than me, and you find a fancy, flashy lifestyle cool. And there's nothing wrong with driving Bentleys and having mansions and having fly ladies and going popping bottles. No disrespect. I walked that path, I lived that life. But now as a 47-year-old man, making rice in the slow cooker, mowing the lawn. You know, it smells like leaves. It's just wonderful. I love it. The simple pleasures of life. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's going on in my world. And now it is time to podcast. And today, I'm going to talk about my second most favorite franchise in the universe. And if you've been here lately, you know exactly what I'm talking about. My second most favorite franchise in the universe is the one and the only John Wick universe. And this past week, I got to see the finale of season 1 of the Continental from the world of John Wick, Theater of Pain. And it was absolutely magnificent. But before I get into that, a couple things. First of all, there will be spoilers. And second of all, I do own some shares in the parent company of Peacock. I just want to be clear and transparent to let you know. Now that I told you that, let's get into the Continental from the world of John Wick, Theater of Pain. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just start by saying this. This episode was absolutely magnificent, mayhem, madness, chaos. It was absolutely wonderful. You know, the first 2 episodes was cool. They're building a story. They're building up to the moments when Winston would take the Continental. So there's a lot of backstory, a lot of dialogue. There's nothing wrong with that because in TV storytelling, you have to have a lot of dialogue and conversations to flesh out the characters in the story. But this episode, Theater of Pain, was basically just like a John Wick movie. The first ones were John Wick on TV. This last episode was like John Wick in the theater. Because the amount of artistic violence, as I like to call it, was massive. The fights, the violence, the combat, the gunplay, the kung fu, karate, martial arts were absolutely on point with the John Wick brand. I loved the episode. It was magnificent. It was chaos. It was madness. It was so great. I loved every moment of this last episode. Now, the first 2 were good. I'm not knocking the first 2. But this is how you end a season. Powerful. It was so masterful. The chaos, the action, the violence. It was so great. I loved it. I'm probably going to watch it again, actually. So after seeing the John Wick movies, seeing the Continental, I feel that there's a whole universe, worlds to explore. And I feel we're on the path to becoming a very big, great franchise. Now, the franchise can work without Keanu Reeves. No disrespect meant. I love Keanu Reeves. I love John Wick. But I feel the franchise, the world itself, is bigger than one actor. Just like Star Trek's the same way. Star Trek is bigger than one actor or one cast. I feel there's so much that can be done in this world that they've built, and they just can do so much with it. Now, while I want to see way more Keanu Reeves, of course, more John Wick, love to see that. I feel also we can go other paths, other ways with this whole world. I can't wait to see what they do next, because there will be next. I have a strong feeling there's more coming. Don't know what's going to look like, what's going to be about, or what, but there will be more coming. I just look on the internet, I saw it was like number 3 in the charts of streaming, right? People are watching this, people are liking it. So I feel that this whole John Wick universe is going to expand even greater than it is now, and I can't wait to see what comes in the future. So yes, the first season, absolutely magnificent. Loved it. I highly recommend you go see the Continental. I highly recommend you go watch all 4 John Wick movies. They're absolutely masterful in a world where we keep getting the same thing over and over again with all these other types of movies I'm not going to name drop or talk about, but you know what I'm talking about. I've talked about the podcast before. This is something fresh that we got in 2014, and it continues to be fresh. And I love the freshness of it. So ladies and gentlemen, yes, go watch it. Now what I want to do real quick though, is I want to get into a little something about the John Wick Continental series in this episode. Go a little deeper into it. So the whole 3 episodes, the point of the story was to show how Winston acquired the Continental. A whole lot of moving pieces had to come together for Winston to acquire the Continental. As we close out episode 3, we saw him take the Continental. But at the end, Winston got a visit from the adjudicator, indicating that he may have the physical building of the Continental. But there's going to be some politicking going on to hold that as far as the other people involved. So yeah, he has the Continental. But the adjudicator shows up to say, hey, you may have it, but in the eyes of these other people, part of this system that I'm a part of, we kind of don't see it that way. So as he closed out episode 3, Winston kind of gave a message. Quite violently, I must say. Like, hey, yeah, I'm here. This is mine. You can hear me out? I'm taking this. So next season, I'm sure we're going to go into the politicking of how he holds on to the building. Because it's one thing to hold a building. It's one thing to take a base. It's one thing to take a city. It's one thing to take a country. It's one thing to take a title. It's one thing to become number 1, to become a championship. Yeah, it's one thing to do that. It's one thing to get to the top of a mountain. It's one thing to achieve something, right? Is it, we could do that. But holding it is a whole nother game. Now, I was walking in the grocery store when I go grocery shopping recently. And I was looking around, I was watching and looking. And I noticed in the drink category, I'm not going to say no names of any companies, I want to talk about that. But in the drink space, there's a certain company that has got a pretty big display as of recent. And it's sitting up there with all the big dogs of drinks. And you know who they are. If you drink drinks, And you know what I'm talking about. You know the big names, big logos, big tastes, sell a lot of units. But this is a young upstart company who's got a big space sitting next to these big dogs in the industry of drinks. And it's just like the Winston with taking the Continental. Yeah, it's easy to get your display there. Yeah, you're up there with the big dogs, display it right there. There's your drink. I actually drank one. They're actually pretty good, to be honest with you. Not that bad. They're pretty good. Hey, you giving them guys run for their money. They're pretty good drinks. I'm not name dropping, not taking no names, none of that, but I'm just saying. But it's one thing to get there, get that spot, take that hotel. It's a whole nother game to hold on to that spot. So in the real world, when I go to the grocery store, will that drink be able to maintain its spot? I don't know. It remains to be seen. We'll find out. I'll find out as I grocery shop through this year, right? Also in the world of Continental, will Winston be able to hold on to the Continental indefinitely? Now, we know in the John Wick movies, he has the Continental, but we don't know along the way if he might have lost it a couple times, right? In the Star Trek world that I talk about all the time, they lose a ship all the time. They'll have the Enterprise or Voyager or whatever ship they're in, and it always gets taken. Deep Space Nine got taken. All the ships and the space stations in Star Trek got taken one time or another. So even if Winston gets a hold of the Continental, who's to say he hasn't lost a couple times? Because it's one thing to get possession, get a title, win a championship, get put in a display in the store somewhere, and it's a whole other game to hold on to that space. How do you hold on to your title? How do you hold on to the championship? How do you hold on to your position? How do you hold on to that top dog spot? Whole different game, right? And some people do say, yeah, it's easy to win the championship. It's easy to get that top spot. But the real game, and this is not from me, this is from people I've studied and looked at and read over the years that actually attained these positions. But see, the real game is not in winning it. The real game is not in getting there. The real game is holding it, right? And so we'll see what happens. Season 2. Winston gets it. Can he hold it? I don't know. We'll find out. I can't wait for season 2 because I'm pretty sure there will be a season 2. So ladies and gentlemen, the Continental, absolutely fantastic TV. I love it. Great show. I highly recommend you check it out. And so this completes the podcast. And until next time, we'll see you. If you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail. Mark Spitz. Until next time, it's Captain Peace.
The Captain Talks Flicks.